what can you sort of take from a tech company like Google and bring into a bank?
Well, I guess where I would start is my assumption is that the ANZ is a tech company, because I think in today's world, if you aren't a tech company or if you're not rapidly becoming one, then you're going to be in big trouble. So again, I'm starting from the assumption that the ANZ is a tech company, and while the strategies can't be shoehorned in, I think you can absolutely look at some of the principles of how do you create an innovation engine, one that's going to run hard enough and fast enough to win in the 21st century, because that engine looks very different to what was built in the for a 20th century winning company. But then the other one is, at the end of the day, if you look at all these magical tools and applications that everyone's enjoying, whether it's, things like, peer-to-peer lending or anything else, they're fundamentally being driven by, by a handful of quite significant innovations or disruptions that are happening in some of the underlying or the kind of the core parts of technology, whether or not that's networking and computing, or 3D printing, robotics, machine learning, synthetic biology, nanotechnology. There is just a handful of kind of foundational technologies from which everything from driverless cars through to blockchain are all springing up from. So I think the other thing that is absolutely applicable from a company like Google is the understanding of some of those foundational technologies and how you think about the intersection of them to help you understand where this might be going.
And one of the things that often comes up, and we read about it in case studies again, and you hear about it from people who visit Silicon Valley, fail fast, fail often, learn, is that relevant for a bank? You surely don't want a bank to fail fast and often.
It's absolutely relevant as a principle, but the application of it needs to be very carefully thought through and tailored. And again, I see companies looking or listening to things like that. They look at what that looks like for a company like Netflix or Uber, and they just want to take that the exact execution of that principle and just shoehorn it into their organisation, and that will typically fail. Because I think what we need to do is look at, okay, what overall is the risk profile of ANZ, what the industry that we're in, and then tailor it to make sure it's working for the bank. So, for example, even within Google, there are parts of Google which can have a much higher risk profile than others. So if you're working at Google on privacy, data, or if you're working on the efficient and effective running of our infrastructure, they're going to have a different risk profile and a different risk tolerance from the people who are doing the user experience for Google Maps. So even within a company like Google, that embracing of failure feels differently depending on where you're working. So yes, I think it's absolutely relevant to a bank and to ANZ. We're just going to have to be really careful and thoughtful about how we apply it.
Before Google, you ran marketing for Procter & Gamble. Again, a different kind of company. What's the overlap between marketing and digital? Is there an overlap there?
Well, for a company particularly like P&G or Procter & Gamble, there is a huge overlap. P&G have long felt that product development and marketing should really sit in the same function or the same organisation, because at their heart they're both trying to do the same thing, or both need to do the same thing to be successful. You need to deeply understand your consumer or your user need and make sure you're creating an elegant solution for it. So at P&G, that function, or that was called brand management, and increasingly what you're seeing is other organisations picking up that same idea. And I think that's been accelerated by digital, whether it's digital marketing or digital products or services, because it's getting increasingly hard often to tease apart what is a digital product development project versus what's digital marketing. So for example, in a bank, if you're going to develop a digital home loan calculator, is that a product development activity? Is that a marketing activity? So again, I think there's a lot of overlap. So a lot of firms, and P&G's been doing it for a while, have those two things combined.
Thanks very much for your time today. Good luck with the role at ANZ.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.